Welcome to the SubHub podcast. I'm EmKay Sullivan. And with me today is not Danny Moreno, but instead I have Rachel Drake on the pod with me to cover the 46K today. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
I know it's like just the pregnant girl pod today.
Yeah. It's the pregnant girl pod who wishes we were running the 46K.
I know. I'm looking at this list of women and I'm having mad FOMO.
Same. I feel like I could not put together a better list of competition for making the world's team. Honestly, it's like every single person.
Yeah, I think on both sides, this has got to be like one of the most competitive qualifiers maybe ever. It's pretty crazy. I was trying to go through the list and like move people around based on, how I thought they might finish, and it was just like there's too many of you.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Before we talk about the course and the race though, I want to talk about your day in the Grand Canyon a little bit because I feel like you and I talked a bit maybe like a couple months ago, and you were like, I have to hide all my stuff on Strava because I'm so slow, it's suspicious. And then all of a sudden you just like pop out this rim to rim effort the other day. And I was like, well, damn, Rachel is training.
I wouldn't say I'm training, I'm adventuring. And
Yes.
like one thing that I did when I was pregnant with Lewis was I ran Chuckanut 50K, and I viewed all of those experiences as these memories that I was making with him even before he was born. And so I felt a lot worse this pregnancy, both physically, mentally, emotionally. And this is like me kind of coming out of that slump. And I wouldn't say I'm training, I'm just trying to like revive
Move.
some. Yeah, I'm trying to move my body and be gentle with it.
How was the day?
It was
Was it
really
too hot?
good. It was surprisingly kind of cool. Like, I got kind of hot in the box, which is like if you're going from north to south, it's this spot right before Phantom Ranch where like the heat kind of reverberates off the walls of this slot canyon. And I got pretty warm in there, but the climb was pretty shaded and had a lot of support, and we took it super slow, and it was awesome. Honestly, like the hardest part is that I had some really bad chafing,
Oh,
and it's just like, I mean, my body's shaped differently than it was like a few months ago, so I feel like I wasn't anticipating that, and that was actually pretty debilitating.
you're like, I didn't put anti-chafe on all the spots, just the spots that I knew about before I was pregnant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to hear about your race. Like, you're
Oh my gosh.
20 weeks pregnant, right?
Yep,
That's
yep.
like pretty pregnant, and you threw down.
It it was I ran a lot harder than I had planned to run actually because yeah, I remember I told Helen that morning when I saw her, I was like, dude, I feel huge this morning. Like, I don't know about you, but it feels like I don't feel like I grow for like 2 weeks, and then like one morning I'm like, holy shit, there's like more of a
Yes.
belly.
Yes.
And that was one of those days. And so I was like, this is gonna be really slow. Also, like, I usually pee every like mile and a half at this point. So I was like, we're gonna be stopping a lot. Like, it's just gonna be a day. But then I started running, and I was like in this kind of group of like men for a bit. And I just started getting, competitive. It's hard not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped them. And then I was
As
like,
you do.
but then I was like, okay, well, I gotta like follow up on this move, and that, but that was at like mile 1 or 2, and I was like, whew, we've got 11 more miles of this. But I just like, yeah, I figured why not, just try really hard the whole day, like, and surprisingly, because I have had like I've done some treadmill workouts and I haven't been able to get my heart rate much higher than like 162. And I got my heart rate up to like 175. It may have been because it was like pretty hot, but I was running pretty well on everything that was like 6% grade and less. It was like anything above that was when I was like, oh my gosh, my legs hurt so bad. I can tell that, I'm carrying extra weight. And then the downhill was just like, because it was a course that was all up for 8 miles and then just all down for 5. So that was
Okay.
nice. So once I got to the top, I was like, thank
Just
God I
roll
could just
down.
roll down the hill. But the best part was, I swear, I told Tommy afterwards, I was like, I feel like the little guy was like holding himself up off of my bladder. He was like, "Oh,
Oh,
mom's racing."
what a little guy. That's so sweet.
Yeah, because I peed at mile 4 and then didn't pee again. And I finished 500 milliliter bottles during the race. And it was only an hour and 50
Wow.
minutes long. So I was like expecting to
Whoa.
pee quite a bit, but he was like, "No, mom, you got this."
That's adorable. What a collaborative effort by you two.
Yeah, it was it was very collaborative because yeah, like today I went for a run. I did like 6 miles and I think I stopped 6 times. So
My goodness.
yeah, but
He
and
understood the assignment.
he did. And then like as soon as I finished, he started moving a ton and I was like, "Okay, yeah, you really were just like trying to stay out of my way for a bit there. That was pretty cool."
I bet him moving around too. He was just like, that was awesome. That was really fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, he it was I was very appreciative of that because once I made that move, I was like, well, these guys are definitely going to catch me every time I pee. But then I was fine. So,
Heck yeah.
but I'm pretty wrecked. Like, I took Sunday, I like biked on the Zwift bike for, 30 minutes because my pelvis was like a little sore. And then I took the dogs on a walk. And then yesterday I walked, and today I went for a short run, and it felt like I felt after racing Black Canyon, like my first run back, like 10 days later or whatever. It was just like, just pick up your feet. And then I came home and took a nap after my short run.
As you should. That's seriously so impressive. Like, I just can't wrap my mind around that. And that video of you that you posted, you're flying.
Yeah, that was probably like 2 miles to go. And the nice thing about this race is that it was just a bunch of trails that I have run, since I was in college. And so it was like once we got to the downhill, I was like, oh, I know exactly where we are now. I know how far I have to go. And it was like usually these switchbacks are like really annoying to me, but it was like a lot of fun because it was just like I was racing and I was cruising. And that was Tommy took that video because he had like a 3 hour run, and so he just ran around the whole day and like cheered for Helen and Jacob and I. And um, but it was I thought I would see him earlier, and I was like, man, that sucks. I really missed Tommy out there. But then at like mile 11, or 10, I saw his orange hat from afar, and I was like, I'm gonna run him down big time. So
Nice. Yeah, you
yeah,
blew past him.
it was fun. I'm glad I did it. I signed up kind of last minute because I was afraid of the heat. But I was just like, whatever. Like you could just like go out and jog this thing and have fun. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Did
then
you
I
end up
had too much.
cooling at all?
So I put ice in my pack and I wore an ice bandana from the start, and that was definitely the move because I didn't get there wasn't another like sponge station until the top of the climb, which was at mile 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have been able to run that hard if I hadn't started with ice because those last 2 miles to the top, I was like, holy cow, like I'm starting to overheat a bit. But then the
Yeah.
women at the top like got me super wet and cold, and then I was good to go from there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Smart. She's ready for Western States.
ready for Western States. Yeah, catch me coming around the track at what would I be at that point? 24 weeks pregnant or something like that.
Heck
No, I'll
yeah.
be coming around the track as Ida's crew chief. So.
So fun. Man, what a cool thing to have a front row seat to that.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is our third year doing it. And I obviously won't be pacing this year because there's literally no way I could keep up with that woman. But I will be head crew, so I'm pretty stoked to still be out at Western States.
Awesome.
Yeah. But before Western States happens, we have a big weekend coming up in the US. Like basically, I would say probably the biggest trail running festival up to this point in the US at Broken Arrow, which happens at the Palisades Resort in the Tahoe area this coming weekend. My brain is not working. It's the 20th through the 22nd, I believe. But Rachel and
Yeah.
I are specifically going to cover the 46K today, which is our third. No, it will be the final qualifier because the VK happens before the 46K. So the final qualifier for the US team, which is very exciting.
Yeah. It's is it two it's two loops, right? Or do
Yeah.
they Okay. So yeah, basically double what the 23K is. It's 26.4 miles with 9,100 feet of climbing, topping out at 8,855 feet of elevation. So definitely, I wouldn't say low altitude.
No. And it's a brutal course too because of the two lap aspect. Like, not only are you coming through the start finish area and then having to like go do it again, but the 46K typically does not run that much slower than the 23K in the first lap. So it's not like you're kind of sandbagging the first lap and then feeling good the second lap. Pretty much everybody goes through like a little too fast on the first lap and dies a bit on the second, unless you're David Sinclair and you come through at pretty much even splits, which is mind blowing. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a good course, I think, for the US team selection, just because it is so mentally difficult with the second loop.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of torture. I ran the 23K last year and they ended up doing two loops for that because it was really windy, so we didn't go all the way up to the top, and it's kind of brutal to touch back down by the lodge and see everyone and then have to go back up again.
I started the 46K last year and got through the first lap and was like, I should have run the 23K. I cannot. I was still like not recovered from canyons, and I was like, maybe the 46K will be easier because it's like slower. And then I was like, no, this was a mistake.
So tough.
But I love Broken Arrow, so I will finish that second lap one of these days, but won't be this year.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting, I was looking at the live cams at the resort, and it looks like there's not actually a ton of snow out there, which we had a lot of snow last year, which made the descent, I think, a completely different game than if there isn't snow, because you can kind
Yeah.
of slide down. You don't have to be very good at technical running, but you have to be good at kind of glissading on your feet. So I think that'll add an interesting element with that changing conditions this year.
Um, I talked to Brendan yesterday as well as Ruby Lindquist, who she ran some of the course yesterday, and she told me that the first part of the loop is like completely clear, but the descent down into Shirley Canyon she did not do because it is still fully snow.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Shirley Canyon
Nice.
will be, I mean, because we're recording this on June 10th and the race is on June 21st. So there's not going to be that much melt happening in
Mm-hmm.
the next couple days because it's warm here, but it's not crazy hot yet. And so I think that Shirley Canyon descent might still be a little bit of a slide.
Okay, cool. I actually loved that last year. It was so fun. Just like, was that last year or the year
That was two
before?
years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad they get that snowy descent. That's like my favorite thing.
Yeah, we'll see how much it melts out, but I have a feeling the first part of the loop's gonna be like super fast, and then the second part is gonna be like, can you glissade well, or or are you gonna like kind of be a little touchy around snow? Because I feel like that's almost like a practiced skill. Like
Mm-hmm.
Helen is really good at that stuff, which is why she like, won the 46K that year. Not the only reason, but like she's just like really confident on snow. She gets lost in snow quite a bit. So, that was like an ideal course for her.
Awesome.
Yeah. But like I mentioned earlier, this will be the last US team qualifier. So, what that means is top three men and top three women who are American make the team, and it does not roll down past that spot. So, it's not like a Western States golden ticket where if somebody turns it down, it goes to fourth place. Like it is just top three, and then if those people don't take it, or we'll talk about some people who have already made a different team, then those spots will go to resume, and there will be six team members total. So it's already three from the qualifying race and three from resume, but there is always a possibility that it could end up being more resume spots.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that adds an interesting dynamic. Also, we'll get into this, but knowing that some folks that will be, very competitive in this race do not intend to take the spot. So we'll chat about that.
Yeah. This is such a crazy race. Before we talk about the fields, though, I just want to do a quick plug for our episode sponsor, Never Second. They will be out on the course. So if you are already trying Never Second and you got that stuff dialed, then make sure that you are taking stuff from the aid stations, using what you can. But if you haven't, uh, by the time this episode comes out, it will be too late for you to order for Broken Arrow, but you can order for your next race. You make sure you use the code SUBHUB25 when you check out at never2.com to get 25% off of your order. If I were you and I was running this 46K, I would be having two packs out there. I would have one pack for the first lap, one pack for the second lap, and I would bring plenty of water. I would be using C30 scoops instead of the C90 packages to make my carb bottles just because there's more sodium and it is likely to be hot. Um, but you guys already know that that's like kind of my go-to. It's just like slamming C30 scoops and maybe like a caffeinated gel every lap. But yeah, so if you guys want to try it after Broken Arrow, Subhub 25 at checkout.
Woo.
All right, Rachel, let's get into these fields. Do you want to do men or women first?
Oh man. Let's do the women.
Okay.
I'm just like frothing over this start list. This is amazing. I mean, both of them.
Do you want to start us off talking about some of these women? I feel like, yeah, this is going to take a while. I'll let you go first.
Yeah. I mean, we can just kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start with Kimber Maddox because I
Okay.
think she has a really interesting story. She's a multiple time Team USA member. She has essentially been out since the last World Championships where I feel like she really sacrificed herself for the team at that race. She went in with a nagging injury. I think it was kind of a low back injury. And she was yeah, not super healthy going into it. But then unfortunately, both Bailey Kowalczyk and was it Brittany
Brittany
Charbonneau?
Charbonneau.
Both of them unfortunately had to withdraw from the race. And when Kimber saw that, she's like, well, now I have to finish. And she finished super strong. I think she was like 16th.
Yeah, and she was our final scorer too,
Yeah.
because she was
So
third.
yeah, I mean, just like really laid it all out on the line. And unfortunately, I think that really set her back for many, many years. So I'm just really thrilled to see her now back running. She just ran the GoPro games over the weekend and was fourth there, I believe.
I thought I saw she was second in the 20K.
Okay, she ran a couple different races.
Yeah, everybody runs so many races. I don't even know who did what,
Yeah,
but
but
I remember.
she's back at it.
I know I'm so stoked to see her back because so Kimber and I qualified together at Formidable 50K for 2023 US team. And I remember passing Kimber in the like probably I think it was like 4 or 5 miles to go at short trail. And I was like, you got this, like let's go. And she was like, I'm gonna try my hardest, like but my back really hurts. And I like when she told me that, I was like, I have to like pass so many people for Kimber. Like I gotta like hammer these last few miles because she's out here just like literally hurting herself to like give us
Yeah.
this podium spot that we got. And I was
Hmm.
so impressed by her, but yeah, it's great to see her back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see her name on there. All right, who should we chat about next?
We could talk about co-host Danny Moreno, who is coming back for her, I guess now third race of the season, because she also just competed at GoPro Games this last weekend. Um, Danny, as a lot of you guys know, is coming off of a broken foot from OCC last year, where she still had a crusher day. I mean, she broke her foot on the final descent, but a lot of people would not have made it to the finish line on that final descent if they had broken their foot. And she was the top American at sixth place that last year. She was first at Canyons in 2024, first at the Bishop High Sierra Ultras recently. So actually her fourth race. I completely forgot that she ran that. But so far this year, she's been able to run um, Bishop, GoPro Games, and now doing Broken Arrow. She has finished on the podium at OCC before, so Danny is like without a doubt one of our best 50K athletes in the country, if not in the world. And she's been on a couple of US teams already. So it'll be fun to see her kind of competing for one of these spots.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really hard to bet against Danny. She's so strong. And I always tell her whenever I see her name on a start list, I'm like, that's the person I'm afraid of. Like
I'm shaking in my
she's
boots.
so strong.
Well, and just like super experienced at this distance. She's one of the few women I feel like who, and you are included in this list, who's like really, really focused on like that 50K distance for many years. I feel like so many of us, myself included, do like the 50K for like a year and then it's like, I'm gonna hop up to the 100K. But Danny has solidly stuck with this since she was like 26 years old or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tried and true.
Yeah. So even if she is coming off injury, like she's got enough experience that I'm not worried about her and she's going to be, one of my top picks.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a really smart racer too. I think like she knows how to calibrate her effort. So I think that'll actually be really important in this race.
Yeah. Somebody that I'm very excited about, who I feel like hasn't raced super frequently because she's always like absolute queen crew chief for Jim Walmsley, is Jess Brazeau. She absolutely crushed it at the VK last year. She was fifth place. But recently she's, gotten picked up by Hoka, has a little bit more support. Jim is not even running Western States, so it's all about Jess Brazeau at this 46K. And her training recently has been super great. I'm very excited to see what she does on this course. I mean, she's been training with Ida and Esther out in the canyon, like, and Abby pretty much
Mhm.
daily, but then also like, doing her own thing a lot of the times. But Jess is an incredible climber and an incredible descender. And I feel like the last couple years she's just been working on like getting faster because that was definitely her weakness for a bit. But I think she's arrived and I'm ready for this.
Yeah. And I think having spent so much time over in Europe, like just doing that more kind of mountain running is going to really suit this course as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've
Um,
been really impressed with some of those training runs that she's been doing with Esther and Ida and Abby. It's just like you
the four of
gals
them
are,
are, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's going to translate really well.
Do you want to talk about Tabor a bit?
Yeah. Yeah. Tabor is another one of those. I think like up until recently, a 50K was a little bit of a stretch for her. I remember when she ran OCC, she's like, man, this is like longer than I've ever done. But I really think like this is eventually going to be a really sweet spot for her. Obviously, she crushed Big Alta this year, winning that, was second at the Canyons 50K, just behind Hannah Allgood, and then won the
Oh, this was to Danny last year. Yeah. She was second behind
oh,
Danny.
that's right. That's
Oh,
right.
wait, no, she was also second this year. So she was second
Behind
2 years in a
Hannah.
row. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. But like clearly has the chops to excel at this distance, which is super exciting. I think it's also worth noting that her and Eli are going through a tough time with her dad being diagnosed with cancer. So I think that just kind of adds another element, both of meaning, but also just of emotional stress. So I hope
Yeah.
that, she's able to see this as an opportunity to, have some joy and express herself and, make her family proud.
Yeah, because I know that Canyons was kind of a rough day for both of them, and I can't imagine. So I agree. I like the running for joy. Be out
Yeah.
there and do it for your dad.
Yeah,
Because we all know that Tabor's dad definitely wants her to have the success that she deserves out there.
for sure.
So this is kind of one of our like spicy, like does she take it, does she not kind of gals. But Claire Rhodes is in this race. She was second to Shea Aquilano at Gorgeous Waterfalls 100K a couple months ago. So she is already qualified for the world's team in the long trail, but is here to at least race. We're not sure if she's trying to qualify, but at least race the 46K. She won the Rut 50K last year in a course record. She was second at the Kodiak 50K like a month or so after that. Second at Chuckanut 50K this year. Um, Claire is somebody who has definitely, kind of came out of nowhere, I think, in 2023 for a lot of people, but I think has proven herself as a contender for this like 50K distance. She was on the team in 2023 as well for short trail. And this was like, her second year trail racing, and she got 22nd in the world at World Championships. So Claire is on the up and she's already qualified. So there's a lot less pressure for her than there is for a lot of other women on this start list.
Absolutely. I'm curious, has she done a lot of longer stuff beyond 50K
Um,
besides Gorge?
Gorge, and then I want to say she ran a 50 miler, but I'm blanking on if that was something she had hoped to do and wasn't able to because she had some injury issues last year.
Okay.
Gorge was definitely her first 100K. And I do think that this 80K will run kind of more like 100K because it's so technical. So
Yep.
this will kind of be her second go at like a longer time effort, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is interesting, both to kind of project, does she want more experience with the long stuff, or does she want to stick with something where she has more experience and maybe feels like she has more potential? Um,
Yeah,
I could see it going both ways. So it'll be interesting to see if she gets a spot, what she decides to do.
yes. Somebody else who has already made the team, we might as well talk about both of these women because they definitely are just like making this whole thing very interesting in terms of, do we get all three women from the race or do we have to move to resume spots? Is Jen Lichter. Jen was the first finisher for the US at Short Trail Worlds in 2023 in Austria. She finished fourth place in an insane, like an absolutely insane day for her. It was awesome. But she has won this race as well. She is Danny and I are always a little bit like hesitant to say this because we're not actually sure what the course record is at Broken Arrow because it's like changed a couple times. But
Mm-hmm.
Jen, I believe either Jen or Helen has the fastest time. It depends on what course you're looking at. But so she's the CR holder on a course that is similar to the one that I'm pretty sure we're running this year. But yeah, I mean, so far this year, she's already been first at the Trans Gran Canaria Marathon, and she's, won the rut, won Broken Arrow. She was fourth at La Temple 50 miler last year,
Yeah,
right?
I think fourth or fifth.
Fourth or fifth. And I mean, you can talk a little bit about her Strava right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Her training's clearly going well. Um, I think, yeah, I also hard to bet against Jen. She's just so strong, climbing, descending, technical. I think this is like, if you could dream up a perfect course for her, it's like, this is it. This or the rut.
Yeah, which is, and we talked a little bit offline about Jen, like she would be so good for the short trail team too. So it just kind of depends on, does she want to stick with the long trail because she wants more experience, kind of like Claire, or does she want to go back for the short trail and like try to get that win after finishing
Mm-hmm.
fourth 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's so those are the two women that we don't know if they're set in their long trail qualification or if they might, shake it up a little bit and take those spots.
Have we ever seen someone do both, like both long and short? Or do you think that would be kind
I
of a
don't think they would
no?
let you because they're back-to-back days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Because you can do, like I think Jim was gonna do the VK in the short trail or something 2 years ago, or maybe it was just VK. And I think they'll let you do that because it's like just uphill, or you can do VK and short classic because they're both shorter distances and they're on either side of the championship. So they're like there's 2 days in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they would let you do long and short.
Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I
Probably for
would
the
I wouldn't do
best.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be awful,
Yeah.
especially on this course. But
Yeah.
um yeah, so those women are kind of mixing it up for us a bit. Do you want to talk about Helen or
Yeah,
Grayson?
man. Yeah, both of them. Obviously, I think Grayson's a really cool story and interesting case. Like multiple time world champion, stepping up in distance. This will be her longest race ever. I think both by distance and time. She's obviously been going through some health struggles, recently diagnosed with Crohn's, and kind of been slowly building back. She ran Don't Fence Me In earlier this year. She was second there, won the Cirque Series Snowbird last year. Um, and I think she did that Cirque Series win off of like pretty minimal training. I think she kind of signed up last minute. So I think if she is feeling confident to even step on the start line, I would be, you know,
A little scared.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. And Grayson, it should be noted, already has a spot on the US team as well. He was the world champion in 2023. But I have heard that she does want to make this team. And so that would be interesting. I would be curious if they would let her do both. I don't see why not. I mean, the short trail, there's a day in between, but the shorter race is second. So that might just be hard, like, to recover, especially if that's, like her second or third 50K-ish type effort in her life. But yeah, she does want to make that team.
Cool.
So
Go
Helen,
Grayson.
yeah, go Grayson. Helen Mino Faulkner, my college teammate, one of my best friends, is coming back. She's a previous champion on this course record holder on the other course. This is the one that, we don't know about because Helen's time is faster than Jen's, but we're pretty sure that the course was a little bit shorter as well. She was third at CCC in 2023 in a definite breakout race, I think. She had a great year that year, but third at CCC. She's four, and she just like is one of those athletes that I would never look at Helen Strava and be like, oh, this is how she's gonna do because it doesn't matter what kind of training Helen's doing. She's like one of the toughest athletes I know, and she will get it done.
That's awesome. She's just my college coach would call that a gamer.
Yes, she's a definite gamer. Because I'm,
Awesome.
like sometimes I'm like, Helen, why are you running 10, 15 gap pace every day? There's no way you're gonna, do well. And then she just like absolutely crushes it. I mean, she's got the course record at Speed Goat. And I like, leading up to that race, she was like kind of hurt, kind of training, and then she just absolutely crushed it. So
Superpowers.
Yep. So do not count Helen Mino Faulkner out of this. She's won the race twice, I believe, and she was second her very first time at the 46K. So she knows this course very well. God, there's like so many other women. So those are the main women that I wanted to like highlight. But I feel like there's like 10 other women on this list that we should just name for the sake of like you guys rock, and we're very excited to have you out here. And you're likely to upset one of the women that we just talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got Robin Lesh, who was fourth at Gorge Waterfalls 100K, so just missing that US team spot. Ashley Brosovin has been on at least two, if not three, US teams. Emily Svan has been top 10 at CCC two or three times now. Sarah Carter, third at Chuckanut 50K this last year, and still very young. I think she's like 24 or 25. Do you want to talk about a couple other of these,
Yeah.
a couple more?
Yeah. We got Lindsay Allison. She was second at Big Alta 50K this year, just behind Tabor Hemming. We've got Erin Moyer, Nevada, third
Local
at Big
crusher.
Alta 50K. Ruby Lindquist, a journalist for Free Trail, won the Big Alta 28K this year, does a lot of Skyrunner races.
And she
Uh,
was second, I believe, at the Mount Fuji 70K. Her
oh,
first like long trail event.
this year?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I had known she was there. That's cool.
Yep.
Claire DeVoe, super crusher from Washington, won Chuck a Nut last year, also won the Tiger Claw Ascent this year.
Olivia Amber, kind of somebody who's had a lot of health struggles over the last couple of years, but she was third at the Rut 21K this last fall, which to me is kind of like, all right, she's on the up and up again. Has struggled a lot with like endometriosis, and so I know that training has kind of been up and down for her, but I'm excited to see her back at Broken Arrow. Casey Enman, multiple time Team USA member. Is this like Casey's first time trying to qualify for a team that isn't one of the like mountain teams, at
Yeah,
least
I
in a
don't know. That's a
while?
good question.
She was
She's a
just at
staple.
Sunapee. Yeah.
Yeah.
She made the
Staple on the
team
circuit.
for the classic team in 2023. She did not make it this year, but she's absolute crusher. Um, Sarah Beal was just sixth at Canyons 100K this year. I feel like every year Sarah gets a little bit better at like mountain running, and so I'm excited to see her out on this course.
Yeah. Addie Bracy, she's in her build for Leadville right now. She's also been on multiple worlds teams,
Yep.
still crushing. And then Sam Lewis, another multiple time Team USA member. She was on the USA team when I was on it in 2019. But she's been on a lot more teams than I have. Excited to see her throw down.
So, do we even attempt like a podium for these women?
Did we mention Kelly Wolf? Is she doing it?
Oh, yeah, she is doing it, I think.
Yeah, obviously, major crusher. Haven't seen a ton from her of late, but I feel like she's kind of been more into the skimo scene. I've seen her over in Europe doing some skimo stuff, which I feel like that kind of fitness is gonna play in nicely to this race.
Absolutely, especially after watching Cam Smith crush like last week at the Sunapee. Like, I was pretty impressed with his downhill back to uphill like legs, even though they've been skiing all year. So
Yeah.
Kelly
Yeah.
could be in a very similar situation because, yeah, they've all been out there on the circuit this winter.
Mm-hmm. But
Okay.
I think we should gander a podium.
All right. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go for it.
This is so hard for me. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Jen for the win, Helen in second, and Danny in third.
Nice. Um, I'm gonna go bottom to top.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Claire Rhodes in third. I think she's like desensitized to the distance after doing Gorge 100K. And I think
Mm-hmm.
having that like recent sharpness of like doing a high profile race with enough time to recover. I think
Yep.
Claire in third. And then yeah, I gotta agree with you on the first two, like Helen in second, Jen in first. Just seeing Jen's training is kind of hard to bet against. And the two of them, I mean, are gonna be super like they're both gamers, right? So I
Yeah.
think that'll be so fun to watch.
And the fun part is that I think they're both going to race the race very differently. It like I don't see them running together very frequently, at least not until maybe the end of the race.
Interesting. How do you think that's gonna play out?
I just Jen is somebody who goes out hard and Helen's nightmare is going out hard. So I just Helen will be kind of I think a slow burn on the day.
Okay.
But they
Maybe
both know the
maybe
course
reeling
so
her in.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I
They're
can't
they're the
wait.
ones that I think have the most experience on this course. So I would be hard pressed to see either of them outside of the podium.
Yeah, agreed.
All
But there's
right.
so many other people that
I
could
know.
very easily be in there. And
This is one of those
yeah,
races that we need free trail fantasy to have like a top 10 and not a top five because top five is going to be hard for me.
totally. Yeah.
So Dylan, if you're listening, I know you've probably already programmed this, but we
Or
like top 10. Or yeah,
Travis
Travis.
Longcar. Yeah,
We'll have to shoot him a little DM after this. Like, hey, we actually five isn't enough. Sorry. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this men's field, which is equally as insane.
truly.
Um, we've got at least, actually, I think we only have like one returning champion. No, two. We have two. So same as the women. Both David Sinclair and Michelino Sinceri have won this race in the past. So, and then we've got, at least eight other guys to talk about with a slew of others right on their heels. Who do you want to start with on this side?
Let's start with the big dog. And honestly, like I'm such a fan of this guy, David Sinclair. I mean, there's a lot of big dogs in this field, but he's just a truly amazing all-around athlete, mountain athlete, ski athlete, and also proved himself to be an excellent flat runner when he won JFK and completely obliterated the course record set by Hayden Hawks just last year. Um, he's also been on multiple world's teams in the past, and actually the year that I ran on the world's team, he stepped into the longer course, which at that time was like the 42K, and ended up placing in the top 10, helping our team earn a medal. Literally the day before he stepped in after running the 21K. So huge fan of David Sinclair. Super excited to see what he does.
He's very versatile. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but I think he's possibly the only person to ever not or not positive split this course. He ran like 2 seconds slower on the second lap or something than he did on the first lap last year. And it was incredible. Like he finished so fast that I was down at the finish line. They were not ready for him. Like he ran through and rang the bell. I don't even think they had the tape up for him yet.
That's
Like
awesome.
nobody was ready for him to run 2:30, 2:30. I'm sure they were like, it'll be 5 more minutes.
Wow. I think it's also important to note that he is signed up for CCC this year. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see whether if he does get a spot, whether he chooses to run on the world's team or opts for CCC.
Yeah, because he's somebody that I could see doubling back. Like if he's healthy, he would be very capable, I think, of doing that double, but he's also kind of a little bit more injury prone, always has like a knee that's bugging him. So I know that
Mhm.
Francesco is also doing that double. So not unheard of, but I don't know. Actually, Francesco's doubling long trail, I think, which is even crazier. But
Whoa. I don't know if I don't want to say they're not allowing it, but I will say that I've heard some of the folks at the US team, like team managers and stuff, were asking people whether they were planning on doing any of the UTMB races as they were selecting the team. So I don't
yeah,
know what the cutoff is there, like if CCC is acceptable but not UTMB or.
I have had the privilege of sitting in on the selection committee this last year, which has been fun. And I think it is something they would like to be able to do to like enforce time period because I know that Spain does that, France does that, where you like cannot, if you're on the world's team, you cannot race within, like a certain amount of days. But we can't do that or have not been able to do that. But I think they are trying to be like, hey, if you're doing UTMB, maybe don't do Worlds. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I am interested to see which one he picks as well. Because David is somebody that I could see being like, meh, I don't need to do UTMB this year. I can qualify again next year.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, Eli Hemming. We talked about his
Beast.
lovely wife in the women's preview, but he was the first American to win OCC last year. In kind of a crazy day, like definitely took a big hard lead at some point and then made us all incredibly nervous for like the last, I don't know what was that, like 45 minutes of the race when he was walking up to Lafletiere. But he came out with the win and it was an incredible day. He recently did drop out of Canyon's 50K, but as Rachel mentioned, Tabor's dad is going through some health challenges, and that's a lot more emotionally taxing than I think a lot of people give it credit for. So hopefully he's back and ready to race for this one. If he is, he will definitely be a contender. He was fourth at Black Canyon 100K, just missing out on a golden ticket in his first go at a golden ticket. But he did actually win Big Alta 50K already this year and Desert Rats 21K. So dude's having a fine year. Oh, and was second at JFK last year to David Sinclair. Did he also run under the course record?
I don't remember, but I bet he did just because
Yeah.
David smashed it by so much.
Yeah.
And actually, I think Eli was like further back than second. I think he
Oh,
might
was
have
he
been like
third?
third or fourth. He had a
He was
rough
second for most
day.
of the day.
I think
Yeah.
he had he did and David would agree with this. Eli did a lot of the work.
Yes.
I think David was drafting off of Eli for a very long time along the towpath, and Eli ended up kind of
Paying for
imploding.
it.
Yeah, yeah. But regardless, super, super strong runner.
Yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
he's to win OCC, like you've definitely got a chance at beating David Sinclair on this course, but it'll
Mm-hmm.
be an interesting battle.
Yeah. Ooh, and then we got Michelino Sunseri. He won this race in 2023. Also won the Rut 50K last year, and in 2023, and then also got third at Ultra Trail Cape Town 100K, which is like super impressive, super technical. Speaking of emotional hardships, Michelino has also been going through a lawsuit with from his Teton FKT, which I imagine that's just got to be a huge drain on the emotional tank. So, yeah, hopefully,
Yeah. Recently moved to Salt Lake, right?
yeah,
So
they're
he's
playing around with it. Him and his partner,
Jasmine.
Jasmine. Yeah, they actually stayed at our house while we were gone a few days or a few, I think during, I don't know, during Ultra Trail Mount Fuji, and so they were
Oh,
like
cool.
hanging out around here. But yeah, stoked to have him in the area.
That'll be cool. And he's prior to living in Victor, Idaho, where he was before Salt Lake, he is a Tahoe local. So he's very familiar with this course, very familiar with the trails, has finished the 46K 3 times. So um and yeah, won it the last time he was here. It'll be exciting to see him back. And he won it in the snow year, which there is, some amount of sliding like we talked about earlier. So he'll be ready for it. Trayson Knopp, I think he's the only athlete on the men's side actually who is already qualified for the US team because Eric LaPuma turned down his spot recently. But Trayson Knopp was second at Gorge Waterfalls 100K to Adam Peterman. I felt like that was like Trayson's been good and he's been knocking on the door for a couple of years now, but that was definitely a breakout day for him. He did not let Adam, you know, take off the gas at all. He was pressing him all day, which was a lot of fun to watch. Um, but he's also like he does not dabble in these short distances enough for my liking. So I'm very excited to see him on the 46K start line because he's really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, super super hot right now. I think just like also similar to Claire Rhodes and some of the other folks who ran Gorge Waterfalls. Like I feel like Trayson's really sharp right now, and I'm excited to see how this translates.
Yes.
Ooh, then we got Jeshurun Small, won the Black Canyon 50K. Wait, what year were those? Oh yeah,
That was this year.
this year, and then 10th at the Canyons 50K, which was super competitive for men. I think a lot of men struggled with going out way too
Seemed like a
hard
rough day,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I loved listening to the Boulder Boys podcast where they're all kind of like talking about their experience and how they're all like running, looking around, like, are we really going this fast right now?
That's the worst.
I think most impressively, he was fifth at OCC back in 2023. I remember that was a really big breakout day for him.
Yeah, another one of those just like really fast guys too. Like he's got a lot of experience on the trails. I think he was third or fourth at Transvolcania last year. So like he's got the range, but he's also just like super flat fast, which as
Mm-hmm.
we know for these like 50K and under races is really important. Um, Cade Michael, still kind of like a younger, newer name on the scene. He was on the trail team last year. Works out with Andy Wacker a lot, so he's also doing some big workouts. But he was 10th at the 23K last year in one of his first trail races. He was seventh at Canyons 50K this year. He was another one of those guys that like was higher than seventh prior to like the final climb, and they just all had these like glorious blow ups. And then he won the Whistler 50K last year. So he's still kind of like getting into this like longer short trail distances. But he's somebody definitely to watch.
Yeah, I think if he can put it together, it's going to be like
A great day.
fireworks.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from what I've been hearing from his competitors, like those guys on the Boulder Boys podcast talking about how like, hey, this guy's the real deal. Like he's knocking on the door.
Because
So,
I think he's like 25 or 26. He's still very young.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, I'm super excited about this next one. Garrett Corcoran, Salt Lake City guy. Um, Super fun. Actually, my 2.5-year-old calls him Scary Garrett.
Garrett is scary, but I gotta know why.
It's because we had a Friendsgiving and he was wearing like a fuzzy bucket hat and like tuxedo. He's just like, he's a little
He's goofy.
eclectic. He's goofy. And my son My son was just like, I don't want to sit by him. But now they're cool. But we all still call him Scary Garrett.
I like that. It fits Garrett a lot if you know Garrett.
Not only is Garrett super scary, but he's also really fast. He was the first American at Worlds back in 2023 on the short trail team, won the JFK 50 miler back in 2022, is the 2023 US Trail Marathon champion. And he was the top American at Mammoth Trail Fest, the Golden Trail Series race last year. I think he was seventh there in a very competitive field. So I know his training's going well. Super excited for him to throw down.
Yeah, he's someone I feel like I mean Garrett's incredibly talented, but I feel like he had that like really, really good 2022, 2023, and then 2024 it was like he was either racing too much or like something just wasn't clicking, but I'm ready for him to like come back and be like 2023 ready, which he hasn't really raced this year, which I feel like is a good thing for him. It means he's like putting in
Yes.
the work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And um he did have that glimmer of like, hey, he still got it. I think back at Mammoth Trail Fest, and that was
Yeah.
just in September. So, hopefully that also gives him some confidence. And he won a road marathon. I
Oh
can't remember
yeah.
which one, but it was really
Napa.
fast. Yeah,
And he
super
ran
fast.
I'd have to look up what he ran, but I remember like Tommy and I before him were like, Garrett's gonna like knock this thing out of the park. And he
And he
did. I mean,
did.
he was an incredibly good collegiate runner, so it's not surprising. But yeah, no, I think he's gonna do really well here. I
He
am actually
ran
surprised that
two.
has he ever run this race?
He just going back to Napa really quick.
Oh
He ran
yeah.
2:15:47.
Yeah. Oh my God. In a race where he, I think,
Dang.
ran most of the day by himself. So it's not like he was, like at Chicago Marathon where he's being pulled along. Like he ran 2:15 on his Broken Arrow last year, sixth at Canyons 50K this year. He won the big altar. Can you still hear me, Rachel?
I can now, but the audio cut out just for a second.
Okay, I'll just start over with Nick, just in case you guys
Okay.
didn't catch that. But Nick Handel was seventh at Broken Arrow last year, sixth at the Canyons 50K this year, and he has been 10th and 13th at OCC. But in the last like year or so, has struggled with some iron deficiency. So I'm hoping that maybe he's starting to figure that out because he's somebody who could definitely contend for this team if he's healthy.
Definitely. Next, we have Michael Bedon Rousseau, living in Boulder. I think he's a former Stanford college
Hmm.
athlete. He
Yep.
was third at the VK last year behind Jim Walmsley and
Patrick Kipnieno, the
Pat.
world champion.
Yeah. So very solid third place there, in a sprint finish with Christian Allen.
On the
Fifth at
snow.
the, yeah. Yeah. It was so fun to watch that playback. Um, Fifth at the 23K Broken Arrow last year, and then also signed up for the VK. And then Tunnel Hill 50 miler later this year. Kind of curious if maybe he's going for some sort of record there. I feel
Record.
like you don't run Tunnel Hill unless you're trying to break a record.
Yeah, and he's definitely somebody who's fast enough to do that. But it's just wow, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah,
Um, but he has struggled with some like knee stuff over the last couple years that resulted from a fall, I think, at the 2023 Broken Arrow 2023K. And so I wonder if just like this is his year where he's like, all right, we're just gonna build some big base. We're gonna run 50Ks. We're gonna run 50 milers. Like, and then maybe we'll go back to doing that shorter, fast stuff next year. Cause yeah, he's been really up and down since getting that knee
hmm,
bashing a couple years ago.
yeah, definitely has a lot of talent though.
Yes. Eric LaPuma, who did get selected for the long trail team, but recently decided that he's going to focus on CCC. Now, Rachel's husband, Tyler, is on the team. But I would be interested. This is another situation where it's like, David Sinclair was focusing on or is signed up for CCC. Can he also do the short trail? Eric is also doing CCC. He was 11th last year, 10th at Canyons 100K this year. So I'm not sure if he would take the world spot or not if he got it. But I mean, he's super experienced. He was he's been one of the top finishers for the US team twice in a row now at Thailand and in Innsbruck. In Innsbruck, it was like Zach Miller, Eric LaPuma, and Drew Holman was the first finisher, and they were like fifth, sixth, and seventh or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was so fun. And I think it was the scoring was based off of time.
Yeah,
And this French guy just obliterated everyone. So we ended up getting silver for the team. But it was just such a cool display of like the team really working together and all finishing so close. Is so, so cool.
yeah.
Next, we've got just top notch guy, fan favorite, Jeff Colt. Seriously love this guy. Such a good voice in the sport, such a good soul. He ran the Gorge Waterfalls 100K this year, ended up fourth, so just missed a USA spot. Also got eighth at Western States in 2023. Unfortunately, unable to take his top 10 returner spot last year. Um, just, I mean, for the love of the game, Jeff, like, let's go.
And he was on the long trail team in Thailand when Adam Peterman won and the men won gold.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've heard that, obviously very disappointed to miss the long trail team and he would love to be on another US team.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Go listen to the long run archives on Single Track podcast. Jeff's a frequent on there and I feel like he's just got such a good perspective on things on current events in the sport. So
yeah.
rooting for you. Yeah.
Cole Campbell, another young gun, runs for Adidas, was top 10 last year. Johnny Luna Lima won the 28K at the Rut last or in 2023. He's an incredible downhiller. Was recently fourth at the Big Alta 50K and ninth at Canyons. And like, yeah, the Canyons top 10 this year on the men's side was kind of unreal. It was like a preview of, I think, what this race is going to look like in a lot of ways with some nice blow ups after that first lap. Jonathan Aziz made the short trail team in 2023 at the formidable 50K. Gordon Giannini was top 10 last year as well. He's coming back. Are there any other men that you would like to shout out on this
Oh,
list? I feel like,
did you say Matt Daniels?
oh, I did not. You can chat about Matt a bit.
Yeah, Matt Daniels. I mean, I think he's had a really interesting kind of touch and go with obviously being super dominant at the 50K distance, ultimately wanting to go up in longer distance and then kind of coming back to his roots of shorter races. So um be interesting to see kind of how he takes to this, as I think this is a little bit more like a 50 miler than it's not a super runnable
Yeah, it's a 5 hour
46K.
50K or
Yeah.
46K. So,
Yeah, like more similar to OCC, I would say.
mhm.
And then I see Robbie Britton on here, which I think he's Hayden Hawks and Dan Jones coach. So I bet he's in
I'm
town
pretty sure that's
for
right.
Western States. And
And Caitlin Fielder.
oh, I
So
didn't
all
know
three of
that.
them. Well, Hayden's not running anymore,
Crushers.
but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Also got Adam Mary on here, another Boulder boy. Kind of he came out of retirement. He's been racing. So super excited to see him there. Brian Whitfield, I see him more as like a fast flat runner. He's had a few kind of bright moments, I feel like, in his trail running career, but haven't really seen much from him as of late.
he won the Desert Rats 50K
Okay,
back in April and was fourth at the Black Canyons 50K, which was like
there you go.
Run, that triathlete, and Chris Myers, I believe. So, mixing it up with some good guys. Um, Preston Cates was on the long trail team in 2023. Had a really kind of not so great day out there for him, but I'm glad to see him doing more 50Ks now because he was one of those like very young, immediately to 100K, 100-mile type athletes. And so I'm hoping to see him get a little bit more pep in his step in these shorter distance events.
Yeah. Also a former Division 1 college runner.
Yep. For the
Yeah.
Razorbacks.
Yes. And then
Um,
also wanted to shout out actually if you go on Ultra Sign Up, the number one person on there is our good friend here in Salt Lake City, Aubrey
oh yeah.
Meisure. I might be saying I can't believe I might be saying his name wrong, but really good guy, super talented runner. Also new-ish dad. He's got a 10-month-old baby. I texted his wife to see if he was actually racing because I don't know if he is, but if he does, I'm super excited.
I'll shout out another local crusher that's not on this men's list that we got, but Matt Zupan here in Reno. He has been absolutely crushing his training. He did run the Silver State half this last weekend and went out way too hard, but we're hopefully he learned something from that and we don't do that in the first lap of the 46K, but he recently took away the Peavine Hill climb from CR from Darren Thomas, which was a
Whoa.
crazy CR to begin with. And so I'm really excited to see Matt in this field as well.
Awesome. I think there's a lot of value in on the smaller races, just trying a new racing strategy, like going out way too hard
Yep.
and teaching yourself the natural consequence or the lesson of, okay, yes, that's why we don't do this.
Yes. No, he'll be just fine out there. But yeah, that's like, just an insight, little bit of our men's field here. I'm gonna make you go first on the podium picks this
Okay.
time.
Okay. I'm ready. All right. I'm going a little bit with my brain, but also with my heart. Um, number 3, I've got Scary Garrett. Number 2, I'm going with Michelino. And then number 1, cannot bet against David Sinclair.
I'm cutting out again.
Shoot, should I just start from the top?
Oh no, it got your recording because I could hear
Oh,
you.
okay.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Now I can.
Okay. I'm gonna go third place Trayson Knopp. Um Second place Garrett Corcoran, and I agree, you cannot bet against David Sinclair, especially on this course.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels right. We'll see.
Cool.
They'll prove us wrong.
Yeah. So make sure you guys go to your free trail fantasy. Hopefully, we've given you guys plenty of information to fill out your picks for this race and just like get excited for Broken Arrow weekend. If you're not going to be out there, make sure you're keeping up with all of it on, I'm sure Free Trail will have plenty of updates. I know that they're not doing a live stream again this year, which is kind of a bummer, but if you are at Broken Arrow, like have a ton of fun out there. It's one of the best weekends of the year leading into Western States. It's very exciting. I am running the Ascent, so I will see you guys out there. I don't believe that you guys will be out there, will you?
We won't, but
Yeah.
we'll be having a lot of FOMO.
Yeah. It's hard, like even the years that I haven't raced Broken Arrow, I've been up at Broken Arrow because I just like I live close and I can't miss it.
Yeah. Such a well put on event.
Yes. But thank you so much for coming on and previewing this with me. Danny will be previewing the VK and the 23K, but she is racing, so we are wishing her tons of luck, and we did not want her to have to like preview her competitors today.
Thanks for having me. I'm such a fan of your guys' pod and yeah, it was really really fun to chat.
Yep, and we're huge Rachel Drake fans, so back at ya. This has been the Sub Hub podcast, and we'll see you guys at Broken Arrow.